In this video, I'll go over all of the gear that I use and how to get started podcasting. Now, I'm assuming that you've already thought about this for a while and or have started podcasting with what you have. Maybe you've used your cell phone or some other microphone that you have lying around, and you're looking to upgrade your audio quality. I've been dreaming about starting a podcast for a while now, really since starting YouTube over a year ago. The process intrigued me, figuring out what to call it, how to get started recording, and then how to publish it to the internet so people could actually listen to it. So based on all the audio equipment I've tried in the past, I've come up with this kit. Here's what you'll need to get started. A microphone, of course, an audio interface, a computer, some program to record your audio, and then something to publish the audio after the fact. Starting with microphones, in this example, I'm going with a dynamic XLR microphone, and that is the Shure SM58 that I'm recording on right now. Getting a good quality XLR microphone will make sure you have that professional sounding audio quality that you're used to from all of your favorite podcasts. And the Shure SM58 is a great budget option at $109. You get a 25-foot XLR cable with it, and a bulletproof microphone that has withstood the test of time and actually holds up well in the resale market as well if you ever want to upgrade to something else in the future. Secondly, an audio interface. I've got the Scarlett 2i2 Gen 4, and that's what I would probably recommend for starting out. Now, if you're just doing a solo show by yourself, you don't really need the two XLR inputs on the Scarlett 2i2, but that is helpful to have if you want to expand later and add a co-host or bring guests onto your podcast in the future. Some key positives to it: it has an air mode that does some on-device processing. It gives the microphones a little bit of a brighter sound that generally only needs minor audio adjustments and level adjustments after the fact to get dialed in properly. Maybe one downside is that this is certainly an audio interface first that you can use to be a podcast interface. It isn't as complicated as something like a mixer, like the Rodecaster Duo or equivalent devices, but it also comes at a fraction of the price of those devices as well. A computer, in this case I'm using the Mac Studio, but you can really use whatever you have. If you have a laptop, Windows, Mac OS, you can get a program to record a podcast on. Speaking of recording the podcast, I use GarageBand. Oh my gosh, you use GarageBand to record your audio? Yeah, it's free, it's built in, it does a great job. It actually has a little bit of compression and EQs if you wanted to play around with that as well, but you just need something to record your audio. If you're on a Windows computer, you could look into Audacity. That is a free program that would record your podcast as well. A program to edit in. You could do this directly in GarageBand or Audacity as well. It's a little bit maybe more complicated than it needs to be, but it can be done. Or once you get good enough, you really may not have to edit your podcast at all, and you can click record, start to finish, and export straight to the upload. I personally like DaVinci Resolve for podcast editing. I use Final Cut Pro to do my video editing for YouTube. DaVinci Resolve and the track-based editing tools just make a little bit more sense for podcasting in my opinion and in my experience. And its Fairlight page has everything that you need to turn your audio into something professional sounding, including editing out any ums or ahs, taking out silence, or removing unwanted noises. And lastly, you need somewhere to host your podcast. Again, I'm going with a free option and going to recommend you use Spotify for podcasters to just start out. Sure, there are paid services out there like Podbean, Buzzsprout, RSS.com that act as both a host for your RSS feed as well as push your podcast to the various platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and more. Those paid services can be costly though if you're just starting out, and while it might be painful to switch later, you always could sign up for one of those services if you ended up needing something that they offer. If you're just starting out though, I would recommend using the Spotify for podcasters to host your podcast, and you can push to all of those same services from there as well. It might be a little bit more manual to set up your links for each show, but I will take a little bit more complicated over yet another monthly subscription. So what did this podcast setup cost me? Scarlett 2i2 was $200. Shure SM58 was $109. I have a pair of Audio-Technica ATH50 headphones that can be helpful for monitoring audio while you're recording, and these are reasonably priced but not necessary at $149. I'm going to assume you have a computer or laptop already, so that brings the total to $463 for a solo podcast setup. And in this instance, if you wanted to add a co-host or a guest, an extra Shure microphone and cable would cost you another $109, taking you just north of that $500 price tag at $573. Are there cheaper setups out there? Sure. Obviously, this one is cheaper if you're a solo podcast versus having two people. And you could sub out the Scarlett 2i2 for one of the older Zooms or something cheaper that just has a single input. That's certainly a viable path to save some money. But in my opinion, this strikes a pretty good balance of performance for price, rather than suggesting to go all in on something like a Rodecaster and adding video right off the get-go, especially while you're just learning the process. You can always add those things with time later. Hey, you might even make some money off of this that would help you towards those purchases. If you want to hear a mic comparison of a couple different options that you could use, you could check out this video here. If you're interested in the Scarlett 2i2, check out this. Otherwise, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one. Later.